Welcome back to What's the Call? It's week 6, and we got E back in town. It's been out for a
Yep.
couple
Good
weeks.
to be back.
Glad to
Good
have
to
him
be.
back. So, we'll jump right into it. Same schedule, do a little week 6 recap, head into our main segment of What's the Call, and then do some looking ahead, which right now, looking ahead, we're getting into that time of the season where we got college games on Tuesdays and Wednesdays now.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
it's 42 days of pure football. It's the best time of
Yeah,
the day,
I
Wednesday
don't know
night
if
match.
Tuesday Night Maction hasn't started yet. The first conference actually is Conference USA, I guess, got the jump start on them. I don't know if you listened to last week's podcast, but me and Kev were talking about that a little bit, and
A
I
little
was
bit.
like, yeah, they start implementing Conference USA Wednesdays. So we have
Oh my gosh.
a
Maction
Liberty,
Tuesday to
yeah,
USA Wednesday. Oh my gosh.
yeah. And so we
Not
have
not too many things excite me in this world, but that's one of them. My pants tighten hearing that. So yeah. Uh, I feel like we need to do a survey or something because I want to know what the nightlife is after these Tuesday night action games. If you're at Eastern Michigan and y'all go get a big dub on Tuesday night, do you go out and party afterwards or you just save it for the weekend? Like I've
I,
always wanted to know that.
I guess you have to, right?
You go hit the
Or
bars in downtown. What about Ohio? Ohio University, you get a big
oh,
dub on Tuesday night.
I bet you Ohio does. I bet you
Where's
Ohio does.
Ohio?
Ohio,
What part of Ohio is Ohio in?
Athens.
Athens. You would go hit the
Yeah,
streets of Athens, Ohio after
yeah.
this?
I would expect Ohio to be probably the max number one party school too. So if anybody does it, it's definitely Ohio and maybe Miami of Ohio too. Two big party schools there.
Yeah.
But anyways, so while we're doing this episode, we got a little UTEP Liberty action going on. Um, I guess
Live
we'll,
ball. Live ball
we'll,
action. Let's go,
live
man.
ball. But anyways, let's get into recap. Week 6, some big games,
Yeah, I may
some big
just
upsets.
yeah. May
You
just go
wanna
down
you
the
wanna start
line
us
here.
off? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'll just go down the line, do a little quick recap, and let you kind of fill in what you didn't see. Ohio State destroys Minnesota. It's a good win. You take care of business. There's not really much other to say other than that. I think they open up the playbook a little more every week now. We'll look at Illinois this week. I think it's going to be a little tougher test, but I mean, considering what Indiana did to them the other week, I don't think it's anywhere near what they'll face in the playoffs. I think Ohio State at this point is you kind of coast downhill until you reach Michigan, considering what Penn State did, which we'll get to in a minute. And then that game has seemed to give them fits. But I mean, it's again, it's going to be a year where they're heavily favored in that game. And then yeah, so I mean, they're basically a playoff lock for me at this point. Just you're just going to nitpick them and see how well they do in these against some of these smaller teams. But at the end of the day, they're not losing more than one game this year, and that's even a stretch. Keep moving along. We got game that should have been game day, in my opinion. Miami and Florida State. Game looked a lot closer than it actually is. Miami demolished. Miami destroyed that game, and they took their foot off the gas, which they've done this whole year. And Florida State just kind of managed to backdoor cover near the end. So, I mean, Miami was clearly the better team here. Florida State struggling. I think we jumped out a little too hastily. But it's also, I think, one of the wildest outcomes now is looking back at week one, what Alabama's done and what Florida State's done after week one. That game makes no sense at all still, especially considering how kind of Florida State's not down spiraled, but definitely took a turn for the worse to compare to what we thought they were going to be this year. And Alabama's done the opposite. Oklahoma handled Kent State. Nothing to say there. Texas A&M handled Mississippi State. That one's pretty impressive. Mississippi State looked pretty good this year. Um, I thought Texas A&M their defense has come on really strong. And they got a big one this coming weekend against Florida. But handling Mississippi State like that, who's a pretty solid team this year, is a good look. Texas A&M's a good team this year. We got Penn State. Um, Awful, abysmal, terrible. Any other word you want to slide in there? I don't even know how to describe it.
I don't
Um,
I don't know
Go
if you
ahead.
heard the stat, but UCLA hadn't led a single at any point
Oh
in
yeah,
time through 4 games. They hadn't led until that Penn State game where they scored. I think that was the opening drive. Um,
UCLA had no offensive coordinator, no head coach, and no defensive coordinator. They promoted Jerry Neuheisel, a 30-year-old, to be the offensive coordinator who didn't know how to work the headset. He was out there on his mic in his post-game press conference, said, "Yeah, on the most important that important fourth down, I didn't know how to call the play in. We just let Nico call whatever he wanted to. This is the worst team in the country, and he didn't even call a play, and we're getting first downs on the highest paid defensive coordinator in the country. So probably the highest paid coaching staff in the country. And you let a 30-year-old who looks 15 make you look like an idiot. That is awful. Penn State, this was supposed to be the team this year. The Penn State and Clemson have kind of trended the same way. I there for me, a lot of the emphasis gets put on, you bring back players and like, okay, they got a lot of returning production. If that production wasn't good in the first place, it's not
it's
good
not, yeah,
returning production. There's only so much a player can do to get better. You're bringing back the same caliber running backs, the same quarterback. He's not going to just take a huge leap this offseason. The last 3 years, he's not done anything, especially when you don't go get elite wide receivers. Pair with him. Drew Aller's not an elite quarterback. He's a good to average quarterback, but that's all you're going to get out of them. And I think
yeah,
their defense took a huge step back on that too.
yeah. I don't know what happened there. Um, you know, I don't like seeing that. I would like Penn State to, blow out that game. That way, later down the road, when they do play Ohio State,
Mm-hmm.
if Ohio State wins, it's a good win for them. But now, with this upset, I just don't know what was going through Penn State's head. I don't know if they were still like, oh, we played well against Oregon, not too disappointed. We got to go out to UCLA. We got nice Los Angeles, beautiful weather. UCLA hasn't done anything, and then I guess they were just lackadaisical with their game plan. They thought it was going to be a walk in the park, and then UCLA took that opportunity to come and punch them in the mouth, and it worked. And again, we've talked about this plenty of times. They had, I think, Penn State ranked number two
Yeah,
in
start the
the
season.
preseason AP rankings over Ohio State. And I'm like, how many times are you going to rank Penn State that high for them to do the same exact thing over and over again? Like, I knew going into this season, Penn State is maybe a top 15 team, maybe
Yeah,
a top
yeah.
15 team. Like
Mhm.
they are, I would have put them between 15 and 10. That's where I honestly would have put them. I don't care if they have Drew Aller returning. I don't care if, they still weren't able to win, the really big games last year. I mean, even if you look at the playoffs, they had to play Boise State and
That's
SMU.
yeah. Because really, when you think about it, they lucked out last year to an
Yeah,
extent. It just got lucky with their schedule because they did have a better defense last year. But you play Ohio State during the season. You played one big game during the season, Ohio State, and you lost.
yeah,
You lucked out not getting any other. I think they played Michigan last year, maybe, but Michigan was not good last year, so they got lucky with that. And then you play Oregon in the Big Ten championship. You lose that game,
lose that.
and
Yeah,
you luck out and you draw SMU in
yeah,
Boise State
and
your
Boise
first two
State.
games.
Yeah.
Then you play Notre Dame and you lose. So it's just like you really have not still won that big game. They just got lucky enough to be able to make as far as they did from making a draw. And I think Penn State going back to this UCLA game, I think they thought they could just show up and it'd be all right, and you can't do that. I've also seen some of the theories, the Big Ten travel now, or you have to. It's hard for these teams to
That's
get up and to travel across the country, but
that's
at that point,
that's
you unanimously voted UCLA into your league, knowing this is going to happen. So it
it,
sucks. Don't
I
vote them in the
I
league if you know it
like
happen.
I understand the travel thing, but also it's hard for me to like sympathize with the teams. I'm like, you guys are flying in, probably like first class seats and stuff like that. You're
It's a
a
joke of an
big
excuse.
Power Four program. You get in like a day before. I understand jet lag and stuff, but at the end of the day, it's still only 3 hours. Like
Yep.
3 hours ain't that bad. Like USC, if you saw their schedule, they traveled to Purdue, played a noon game at Purdue, and then they traveled back the next week to USC, played a 11 p.m. Eastern game, Eastern time, so 8 p.m. Western time against Michigan State, and then they had to fly back and play Illinois. So I don't want to hear any of these like, excuses for Penn State and even Ohio State. 2 weeks ago, they flew out and played Washington, and they didn't seem affected. Like, good teams aren't going to be affected by this, you know, travel, travel period or too much traveling. Like, good
100%.
team, it's not going to affect them. But anyways, moving on from that, another big upset. Me and Kev actually talked about it and kind of saw this one coming. I wish I picked it as my upset pick, but I didn't. Florida over Texas. Again, Texas is one of those teams where they thought going to ball out, kind of in Penn State situation, going to ball out because they have a bunch of returners and we have Arch Manning at the quarterback, so they're going to go crazy.
Yeah. Here's the biggest issue with Texas. It's Arch is bad. I mean, it's been bad with him, but they also cannot block and they can't run the ball. So you're making a already hard situation for quarterback 10 times harder because you can't relieve any pressure on him. You could count more times I can count on my fingers how many times he was pressured in that game. It seemed like Florida had a
Yeah, I
free
was
runner
going,
every
yeah,
time. So it's just that you can't have a successful offense, especially when Texas offense is thriving off of, hey, we're going to throw a screen pass short, we're going to do a little bubble screen, or we're going deep. There's no intermediate passing with them. So if he's having to take 5-step drops and let the routes develop, he doesn't have time to do that right now. And then you're also throwing in the fact that he's an inexperienced quarterback that's struggling with his throws because his feet are offline, his mechanics look whack. And he's going to plant what, like one out of every five of those throws per game. He made a great throw to Wingo in the back of the
yeah.
end zone, but then he
Me,
overthrew what, three other wide receivers that were
he
wide open.
he made a he made, obviously when I was watching the highlights, it was only the highlights, so they're going to show, good throws, and I saw some
Mhm.
bad throws too because he threw a couple picks that game. But I'm like, he's not a terrible quarterback. He just happens to be the fall guy because there was so much hype around him that when he is mediocre, everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, he's the problem." But like you said, when you look at that game, he's getting pressured almost every single snap and he's forced to either roll out, throw on the run, or throw under pressure, which any new quarterback's not going to be able to succeed in that environment. It's just not going to happen. So really the big problem is Texas front line, when you have a new quarterback, you need to give him time or else you're not going to produce. So I understand. Yes, Arch hasn't panned out to what all the expectations, put on him thought he would, but he's not terrible. He's not terrible. He's a good quarterback, I think. He just hasn't had one, the experience, and two, the offensive line to maybe even help settle him in a little farther with this being his first full year starting.
Yeah, also to that Texas defensive backfield, suspect. Very suspect. They let Florida's wide receivers absolutely torch them
Yeah,
this week. Florida has some good wide receivers, don't get me wrong, but their one and two wide receivers are freshmen, and they torched fifth-year senior Michael Taft and
yeah,
all those other. That dude bitched Michael Taft on the sideline. True freshman Dallas Wilson. His first game playing, by the way. He's been out for the other games. First real Florida game made him look like a rag doll. Um, talking about Florida though, it's really weird with them. As bad as they've looked all year, and fire Billy Napier and DJ Lagway is the worst QB to grace the earth. What happens when you run the ball more with your elite running back and give him open lanes to throw is magical. I don't know why Billy
yeah,
Napier didn't figure that out. Also, they have one SEC loss, so they're everything they want to accomplish this season is still there. They could make the playoff with three losses. If they went out with their schedule, they could make the playoff with three losses. Now it's going to take them winning out and beating Texas A&M and
yeah.
Georgia and um, all these other. I think they play Ole Miss too. They gotta beat a lot of good
They got
teams,
hearts.
but
Yeah,
I mean the way they played on Saturday, if that keeps progressing, you will get a good amount of those teams.
yeah,
100%. Now, if that was just a one-off and we don't get that same Florida again, Billy Napier will be fired by the end of the year. But if they keep progressing, they have a good enough talent roster to do what they want to do. Yeah. So moving on from that game though, um, Bama Vandy, Diego Pavia had a very big letdown game.
Yeah.
Talked all that shit and just I don't know if it got to him or but
He,
he was one of the sole reasons Vanderbilt lost that game. The turnovers in the red zone were the reason Vanderbilt lost that game. Comes out
he,
to it. Alabama played a good game. They played the same way they played against Georgia almost, holding the ball, time possession. Um, Vanderbilt was up. If they scored touchdowns on both those possessions, it's at least I don't know if they win still, but it's a 1 point game.
yeah.
It's
It put
not a
Bama
it's
under a lot more pressure.
backdoor cover that Bama gets to make it look big. But Diego Pavia just a huge. He's got to look himself in the mirror, and then
Yeah.
letting all the fans get to him after the game. If you want to talk all that shit before the game, you got to be able to wear it afterwards. So
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
I just felt like, watching some of the game, he was just trying to do too much. And I feel like that tends to happen when you talk a lot. Then you just feel like you're the guy that's supposed to go out there and produce. And he just forced way too much stuff that wasn't there. And like even running and stuff. I was like, I don't know if these are the play calls, but I'm seeing a lot of quarterback draws. And, you
Yeah,
know, it, uh, it's not going to work against Bama, especially if they have 5 games of film on you. Like, they know what
Vandy
he's going to do.
Vandy is one of those teams. Yeah, they didn't hand the ball off Cedric Alexander enough, and he broke like an 80-yard run his first possession. Um,
Yeah.
they are one of those teams where if they get down, it gets really hard because
Hmm.
he can't. They do not have a
Yeah.
lethal passing attack when you know they have to pass. Now they can
Yeah.
get you off guard if you're they're punching you in the mouth, they're up or something. They can go deep on you. They can throw it, but when you know it's coming, it looked awful. It
Yeah.
looked awful when they do it. Like, yeah, just bad. So we'll see if Vanderbilt turns it around. They got LSU, Texas, Oklahoma. They got chances to turn around, and we'll see if they're a real contender or not. But every SEC team is going to get their one loss.
Yeah.
Alabama doesn't have it yet,
100%.
but I think it may be coming this weekend, this weekend or next weekend. Um,
Yeah.
other than,
SEC's
other than
hard.
yep. So yeah, not much to say there. Just Alabama revenge game on Vanderbilt, which is hilarious to say, but um, yeah.
Yeah.
Keep moving. Texas Tech, congratulations. You bought your way to playoff contention and the best team in the Big 12. You look good right now. You beat Houston. Um,
Fraudulent Houston.
I don't
Did
really know who
kind
else they
of,
play. You'll torch the Big 12. You may that I think they're guaranteed playoff almost at this point. I don't really see who's there. They
yeah.
are a good team. We're not going to go how good because it's
I
the
have
Big
one
12.
team. I have one team that had an upset um this week that, you know, one, they're my hometown team.
You
So I
pick
would like
Cincy?
to I would like to see them come out and, maybe put up a
Yeah,
fight in the Big
yeah.
12 and they look good.
Yeah, they
So
ran the
I
ball
guess
well.
we'll jump into that game real quick. Cincy over Iowa State. Watching the highlights, Cincy looked really good. I don't know if I've ever seen that much of an explosive offense from the University of Cincinnati, but it was there that Iowa State game. And I think they were going into that game like, hey, we got to prove something. Like, we got this ranked team, undefeated ranked team coming into town. Let's show them we're not just going to be a doormat for them. We're not just going to be another win in their column. Let's put up a
Yeah.
fight. And they did. And I will say, I have a couple of um, I was going through some of the highlights, and I think Iowa State got bailed out, which helped them make that game look a lot closer than what it was. I think the refs did bail out Iowa State in a couple scenarios. So I think Cincinnati, they keep on playing like um, how they did against Iowa State. I don't think really anybody else in the Big 12, like looking at their schedule, if they happen to run into Texas Tech, that's going to be their, you know, I guess big team. But I don't know. UC's always
There were
iffy. They'll
some
they'll
vicious hits in that game. There were some vicious hits in that game.
there
Some
were.
some yeah, some hard hitting.
But so that was a good game. That was a fun game. Another one, easy one. Georgia handled business like they were
It's
supposed to. I was
so
hoping.
it's so nice to see. I think I saw a stat the other day. Um, Out of the last seven Power Four teams Georgia's played, they either were tied or trailed at halftime. So it was so nice to see them finally jump on a team you knew they were
Yeah,
better than and actually lead. And I feel like watching them play for the last year and a half, every game they come out slow and then they have to come back. So it's
yeah,
nice to see them get the ball, drive down the field, score a touchdown, make force a punt, get the ball, go score a touchdown, get up 14-0, and then kind of coast through the rest of the game.
yeah,
It finally. So I think the offense is coming into play. Gunnar Stockton's a lot better runner than people think he is. Um, he's actually a threat out of the backfield. I always assumed, I think a lot of people assumed at the start of the year, he's one of those things where if a play breaks down, he'd get you a few yards. But he's breaking these design runs for 15, 20, 25 yards and making people miss. He made two Kentucky defenders miss in the red zone and scored a touchdown. So that's definitely a real threat, and that helps their running game. Their running game's a lot better this year, and they can move the ball. They have good running backs, and that's a part because Gunner's a threat to pull it down and run.
yeah,
So the defense has to get better. They have to get a pass rush. If they don't get a pass rush, they'll lose 2 to 3 more games this year. If they can find the pass rush, the sky's the limit with them. But if they don't, it could be another rough year, just like last year. So,
yeah.
um,
You
see,
know better about them than me. So,
yeah.
but
um, rounding out last Saturday, Michigan took care of Wisconsin. Not really much to say
expected
there.
that. Yep,
Notre Dame took care of Boise State.
yep.
Um, Illinois took care of Purdue.
Purdue's defense looks terrible. Terrible.
Yeah,
Was
and
at that
then
game. Watched it.
Virginia beat Louisville 30-27 in overtime.
I
Virginia is a sneaky ACC contender because you know you have Miami and you know you have Georgia Tech at the top there, and they're not running into each other. But Virginia's last games this year are Washington State, should be a win, at North Carolina, which is if you show up, you win that game because that's the worst team I've seen in a long time. At California, it's a very winnable game versus Wake Forest at home, at Duke, and Virginia Tech. Virginia could be a one-loss team who, by the way, played NC State in a non-conference game. So they lost to NC State, and it was a non-conference game. So they have zero ACC losses right now, which makes absolutely no sense at all.
yeah, I don't know how they
But
did that.
they very much so could be undefeated in conference play going into the end of the year, which would be really interesting to see if Georgia Tech, Miami, and Virginia are all undefeated in conference play. Who gets the bid at that point? Um,
Yeah. I
but
I
yeah,
think I think Virginia, they can cause a little mix up. They'll shake things up a little bit. Louisville's also not a bad team by any means. I know. They they were actually favored in that game. Louisville was, which, based on Virginia being ranked, you wouldn't think that. But since it was at Louisville, Louisville was undefeated. Louisville was favored. Virginia was able to claw their way out. I
mhm.
could see Virginia losing to like going out to Cal, probably losing that one. I could definitely see that. Um, I don't know what VT looks like, but I feel like Virginia, it, there'll probably be a team that I don't, at least drops one or two, probably from here on out. I could see that out
I
of
don't
them.
doubt it either. ACC ball is always susceptible to doing that. So
But really, I mean, rounding out, I guess I'll go ahead and say my upset pick didn't hit. I thought I was cruising along. Maryland looked good at the
they did
beginning
look good.
of um, that Washington game, but then Washington found their way to win it. So I go 3-2 in my upset picks for the year, which is unfortunate. But other than that, I mean, no other crazy games, no other crazy ranked games, no other crazy really upsets that I see. So I think it's about
Good
that
solid
time to
week.
get into these highlights. Yeah, good solid week for sure. But let's jump into these highlights here. Got a couple of them. First one, Michigan State, Nebraska. Um, this one I was really debating it because at first I was like, should I put it in? But then because I couldn't see really from the angle, but I had to go in and get a better angle. And it's a PI call, and Michigan State is dr or who Michigan State is on offense. Yeah, Michigan State's on offense. They were down 14-0 at this time, and I was really looking at it and I was like, is that PI? But I'll play it and we can decide.
Okay.
So it's going to be 13 here. It- They call PI. What really got me was I was really just looking at it and I was just really looking at this hip contact because obviously you see him kind of grab the hips a little bit, but I just felt
So
like 13 did a really good job of selling it.
he did. But that ref is staring right down the line. He sees a grab, he sees a pull, he sees the wide receiver fall back. That's pretty clear cut PI
Yeah,
in
I
that case.
mean,
He right there
I
grab, is the pull on the
there
other
was there
side.
was like, well, the thing is I just didn't feel like I've seen way worse grabbing
Yeah.
and
But I
holding,
think it's
but
where
like
the ref was standing too, from
yeah,
where he
I
sees.
just feel like Michigan State guy did a great job of selling it because I was also looking based off one's positioning. Is he using the grab and hook to get himself better positioning to defend the pass? And I was like, really no, because when he jumps the route, when he's coming down on this breaking, he's already there. Like he's already ahead of him. So
Yeah.
I don't even know like there wasn't really too much grabbing there
No, there's
besides
not. But I think from the viewpoint the ref had, it looked worse than it was.
it looked worse.
It was
I
a good
just
sell
felt
job.
yeah, I felt like 13 did a good sell job. Which unfortunately as a ref you're like it's going to be hard to call something that somebody makes it look like a foul. Which the debate here is this a fumble or is this a
Oh yeah, yeah. I know what you're talking
incomplete
about.
pass? Yeah.
It was I think it's a fumble. The tight end catch.
Yep.
Yeah. He made a ball. He made a move. The
I
the
just
slow
wish
motion does this one justice. Boom, catch one. He caught it. He tucked it. He made a move with the ball. It got punched out. That's enough for a fumble. If he was catching it and moving it with his hands, still bobbling it, and got pushed out. That's the fact that he tucked it and ran.
catches it. I just don't know
See,
because it's
catch tuck.
close.
It is close.
Yeah.
It's really close, but I think it's the fact that he was had it and was moving forward and was looking up the field. That was enough
Yeah.
to say that he caught it and
Because I
moved
was
forward.
like, he technically didn't get a foot down. Like, he didn't take a step upfield yet, but when it got punched out, like, he had just caught it. I guess that turn upfield, yeah. But it's really close. And the reason why I brought this up
It is
is
close.
because the other week, 2 weeks ago, it was Auburn and Oklahoma, that
Mhm.
game. And there was me and Kevin covered this where the guy literally caught it, his arms extended out, brought it to his side. It got punched out. They ended up calling that an incomplete pass. And he
Huh.
had more possession than the Florida guy did even here.
Yeah,
These
it's
are
it's
both
just so
SEC,
subjective.
so I
Like you
that's
watch
why I
it,
brought it up. I'm like, are we going to call it a fumble or incomplete
I
pass?
think
Like,
is there a slow motion version of this on the highlight or not?
no, there's not.
When they
This
showed, I remember they showed it in the game. They showed it in slow motion. It did more justice to the
more
ball
justice
carrier
slow
having
motion.
control. Yeah, but I mean, it's a lot of time. It's one of those bang bang plays where this is when I wish the SEC would let you hear into the replay official
Yeah.
booth like the ACC does, so you could really know what they were talking about.
Yeah.
Um, but I think didn't they call it a fumble on the field too? I'm pretty sure they
Yeah,
called it a fumble on the
they
field.
called it a fumble because nowadays they're just letting the fumble play out, and then if they have to go back into replay
But I
to
think that
call it
one that was
incomplete.
so close, you just go what was called on the field.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not mad about that one.
Anyways, this UC Iowa State one is a PI called, and there's like 7 seconds left. This PI gets called, and I think double zeros hit the board, and Iowa gets another play and they end up scoring off of this. Like this whole sequence was really weird. But this ended up being a PI call on UC and put Iowa State at the 2 yard line with what would be for an untimed down to end the first half. So watch it here. Like I just I'm like I
Who was holding the outside DB?
just watch it. Yeah. So little hand fight, and then the receiver, I would extends his arm to push him off, and the UC guy's like, "Whoa!" and then kind of like grabs onto him a little bit. The Iowa State receiver flails, like
Who they
he
called on
didn't.
Cincinnati?
They called it on UC for pass
Mm,
interference,
bad. That's a bad
and
call.
I think it's a bad call. If anything, you just let it be. You just
Yeah.
let it go. Like they're both hand fighting. The Iowa State literally, you can see his arm here extend and pushes the UC guy, and that's why the UC guy somewhat has a grab on him. And
The only thing I could see is he pulled him by the waist, but I don't even think he really did that.
no. And so I'm like, just bad call. Give Iowa State a free touchdown going into the half. And that's the call, like one of the calls I was talking about that like gave Iowa State a little more momentum than what they should have.
Hmm.
Another bad call. Oh shoot. I forgot there was one there was one in the Florida game which it wasn't a play call, it wasn't a flag or anything. It was actually Billy Napier. It was
Napier?
the fourth quarter and there was and Florida's trying to chew clock, right? Because
Hmm.
Texas was somewhat coming back. And I forget if the Florida guy's helmet came off or somebody's helmet came off. And they said the ref goes, Florida has elected to take a timeout to avoid the 10-second runoff. I'm like,
Yeah.
why are you taking a timeout to avoid the 10-second runoff?
So I think what happened in that play was he didn't do it to avoid the 10-second runoff. He did the timeout because that was I think it was one of his best offensive linemen. Was it offense or
Yeah,
D? Yeah.
it was uh,
Um,
it was offense.
Yeah, so I was confused about that too, but going back, I heard multiple people say that was his best offensive lineman. He took the timeout so that player could be back on the field on that third
Oh,
down.
okay,
He just
okay.
he elected to it was called like, oh, why is he not letting the 10-second runoff go? But he did it so that player could come back on the field for the play because he would have had to sit out if he didn't do that. So
I
it looks
still
stupid, but
I
I think
I still think it's stupid. I still think it's
yeah,
stupid because they ended up just running the ball anyways. Like, why
yeah,
wouldn't you just waste more time? Like, is your lineman really gonna make a big difference if you're
if
gonna
the backup's
have to
that bad, it could.
ball? Well, they didn't get it anyways. I don't
Yeah.
think they gained any yards on the next possession. So I'm just like, if you're trying to run down and chew clock, just put the guy in, you drop 10 seconds off, and then you run the ball, and then you drop another 40 seconds off rather than taking a timeout. And then you have, like, you never know. So I just thought, I was like, okay, if is your backup offensive lineman really that bad? If he
Mhm.
is, Florida, you got a lot more issues
Yeah,
than
yeah,
winning games here.
yep.
But anyways, usually on this, we're kind of hating on refs. I wanted to take this one to say good call by the refs for this one. This went under review for targeting initially, just because there was contact towards the head or neck, and they ended up reviewing it and they called it not targeting. And maybe some people out there disagree and believe this is targeting, but I thought the refs got this right. So we'll watch it here.
Nope. Led with the shoulder. Knocked
Yeah.
his nail polish out though. That was a
And I'm
clean
like,
shoulder hit on the side. That's not targeting, and they called not targeting.
yeah, clean.
I think it just looked worse than it did
It
because
just
A, it's
looked
Ryan
worse. Yeah.
Williams and he flops, and B, Um,
Uh, I mean, I don't think he flopped
in
on
there.
that one. I mean, you are gonna like kind of like
Yeah,
when you're getting hit.
not intentionally, but he kind of just
Yeah,
flails his body when he gets hit. That's how he like
yeah,
falls.
yeah.
So it looks worse when he gets hit.
So I just wanted to shout out the refs on that one
Yeah.
for making the correct call because we've
Heavy
had
rest.
so many controversial targeting calls over the weeks, and it's going to continue to be controversial call. Um, but so applaud them. Well,
Yeah.
that ends our main segment. What's the call? And we'll go ahead and jump into a little week seven look ahead. Like I said already, week seven is currently happening right now as we are recording this, but I don't know unless we have some Missouri State, Middle Tennessee State fans or Liberty or UTEP fans watching this. I don't think anybody else really is paying attention to those games. So we'll mainly cover the big ones.
Yeah. Friday night, if you are not doing anything on Friday night, watch South Florida versus North Texas. There's a good chance that the winner of that game gets the G5 playoff bid this year. Those are two really good teams um, playing in the middle of the year. And South Florida's ranked. North Texas is really good. North Texas is favored in this game. That's a high level football game. That's on 7:30 on Friday night. That's a great kickoff of the weekend.
Yeah, I do think that that game, that North Texas South Florida game, will possibly have playoff bid potentials for that group of five team to sneak in. Right now, is there another group of five team that's ranked besides South Florida? I don't think one's not coming to my head.
I think Memphis is up there.
Memphis is up there? Okay.
Memphis may be up there. Yeah, they've looked pretty
But
good, and they have that win over Arkansas this year. So,
those are
um,
both in they're both in the AAC, so like they would
yep.
eventually probably play each other anyways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, moving on to that Saturday. We'll just go down the line here. You got Ohio State at Illinois. So Ohio State's probably their biggest challenge this year yet. Texas has been
For
really
sure.
disappointing. Best offense they played yet.
Yeah,
Um, I mean, oh, the line's 14 and a half. I think Ohio State covers that. I see them winning like 35 to 14, something like that. 35 to 13. It's not going to be a close game. It may be close for a quarter or two just because that Illinois, but it's not going to be a close game. I would pick Ohio State to cover 14 and a half all day. I don't think it's going to be under that.
like I said, I would like I hope you're right. I hope it's not a close game because close games are terrible for me. They stress me the hell out. But, you know, Ohio State, obviously, I think they are taking into consideration, hey, we are going to Illinois. Illinois did beat USC. Is USC as good as Ohio State? No, I don't think so. I think that's pretty obvious. But again, Ohio State is starting to open up the playbook like we saw against Minnesota. I think they'll continue to do that against Illinois. And I just really think if Ohio State continues to lean on a receiving core, shouldn't have any issues against Illinois. Should be pretty
Yep.
good.
We got Bama at Missouri. Weirdly enough, I think this is probably the hardest game Bama has played this year yet. Um,
100%, I agree with you.
Missouri runs the ball really well, and that's
Yes.
what Alabama's been susceptible on. They also rush the passer really well, and no one's really gotten to Ty Simpson yet. Vanderbilt didn't really have that. Vanderbilt didn't have that good of a pass rush. They still got home. Georgia's pass rush is terrible. They couldn't get to Ty Simpson. And Florida State, I guess, they have an all right pass rush, and they murdered him week one. So um, I'm interested to see what happens if he has a little pressure. He's not going to keep playing as perfect as he played the last few weeks. If he's getting pressure in his face, so we'll see that. And then Missouri, it's hard to stop on offense in terms of running the ball. If they get up early, it could be a rough game.
Yeah.
If they get punched in the mouth though and are forced to throw, I think Alabama has the upper hand the whole game. So that spreads 3.5. That's too tough to tell because I don't know if Missouri win or if Alabama wins. I don't know if Missouri would cover or Alabama would cover that. Um, So I mean, I think it's just going to be a really good SEC game. I'm excited to watch that one from a fan standpoint, but betting, I would not touch it.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited to see that one. I think that'll be a good one, and I do agree with you. I think that's Bama's toughest competition so far this year, toughest
Mhm.
game, especially with it being at Missouri too, which they'll have a couple cranes and stuff in the background with Missouri's renovation going on. So they'll have a little less fans, a little less fans in that stadium.
Yeah. Yeah. We have also in Pittsburgh at Florida State. We'll see if Florida State bounces back. Not really much anything else to say on that one. And then Washington State at Ole Miss. Why is that game happening? Don't really know. Of
Why is
course,
Ole Miss
Washington.
still?
Of course, Ole Miss plays Washington State the week before they play Georgia. Makes perfect sense. Um, that they'll kill Washington State. I'm not worried about that. Indiana at Oregon. I don't really have a good feel for this. Indiana slaughtered Illinois, but was that just like a coincidence, or are they really good? And Oregon too, they beat Penn State, but how good does that look? Um,
Yeah,
so I mean, I wouldn't touch that line either. Oregon 7.5 because I just don't know anything about these teams to say that. I know Dante Moore's good, but I, I think this is a telltale game for both those teams. I just don't know anything about them, to be honest.
yeah.
We
I
got the Red River Shootout. Uh, Oklahoma at Texas. That line is 1.5, and that's baked in with John Mateer playing Oklahoma. Um,
I know he just came off of surgery, but I just don't see
yeah,
Texas
I
hanging
see
in
the
there.
same time, but a team desperation is a crazy thing, and I don't think Oklahoma needs or wants this game as bad as Texas needs it. I think this game ends up being like 23 20 something low. I think Texas figured out a way to win the game really close, just based on the fact that if they don't have this game, their season's basically done. If they want to have any fighting pulse this season, they have to win this game. And I think Oklahoma is just it would be cool for them to have this game, but they don't need to win this game. And they could say, "Oh, our QB was hurt." All like I think Brent Venables will give them a lot of problems, especially Arch Manning. But I don't know if Oklahoma's gonna be able to move the ball at all, considering what their quarterback situation is. And even with Mateer playing, their offense hadn't been unbeatable. Like it's been a struggle too, with him
Yeah,
playing. So I think they're going to run into a defense they hadn't seen yet, and I think Texas just finds a way to get it done. Not ugly, but I think they get it done. Um, I wouldn't bet on this, but I do think they'll find a way to win that game. Virginia Tech and Georgia Tech. Virginia Tech should roll. I mean, Georgia Tech should roll. Shouldn't even be a game. NC State at Notre Dame shouldn't be a game either. Iowa State at Colorado. Iowa State should win that game. They're favored by two and a
should.
half. I may take Iowa State on that. Colorado, Deion Sanders in the hospital, getting the blood clots out. Uh, they just seem kind of dead. Arkansas, Tennessee. Tennessee should roll, considering Arkansas's on a Bobby Petrino era now again,
Yeah,
which how they're letting that slide, but we'll see. Um, this next one to me is, I think, a really good one. Florida at Texas A&M.
A&M. Yeah,
We'll see if Florida can put 2 weeks in a row together. I think seven and a
against the
half, which is
Texas
what Texas A&M
teams.
is favored by, is too big. I think 7.5 is too big. I think this game ends up being like 4 point game. Um, I I'm not. I think Texas A&M wins, but I think they don't cover. I think Florida covers. I hope Florida plays good. I hope it'd be a good game. If they do it, it'll be a really good game.
Yeah,
Almost two evenly matched teams if Florida plays their best. So we'll see. Being at A&M helps, though. That's really going to help their cause. But Florida again is in desperation mode too. They need to have this win to keep their season going, and that
yeah,
teams a lot of time respond to that. So Texas Tech plays Kansas. They should roll with that. They should
should.
win.
Yeah,
We got Georgia at Auburn. That game makes me really, really nervous.
yeah,
Georgia has historically not played good at Auburn in the past. Auburn came off a bye week. They'll throw everything they need to throw to win this game because if they don't win this game, I think Hugh Freeze is gone. So they have to. he's going to do everything he knows to do to try to win this game. So Georgia's going to get Auburn's absolute best shot. I think it's a very close game, 3.5. It's a low line, but I can see Georgia winning this game by 1 point. I can see them losing this game. So there's a lot of variety in this game. I don't really know how to judge this one. I hope they come out and play good, but Auburn's got a really good defense. So we'll see if Georgia can affect Jackson Arnold. If they don't, it could end up being a tough night
Yeah,
for the
but
dogs.
Auburn has proved to struggle to move the ball too
Yeah,
on offense. So, I mean, maybe that'll be in Georgia's benefit just because their defense hasn't been the greatest. So,
yeah.
if they play an offense that hasn't been able to move the ball, then they're going to be able to beat them
hmm
offense to offense since defense doesn't won't have to step up as much.
We have Michigan at USC. I don't really know much about this game either. I think Michigan wins it. I don't really know a ton about USC. I know they lost to Illinois. I hadn't really watched a ton of their games other than that. Um,
I
I'm gonna
I,
choose
I would take
if it's
USC.
wrong.
I would take USC. It's at USC. Um, how good is Michigan this year? I still don't know. I They really haven't played anybody where I'm like, ooh, yeah, yeah, that's a good win. Which I think
Mhm.
this game for them is going to be
Yeah,
maybe
good
a,
one.
a good one. So it's going to be a game that'll actually be like, okay, is Michigan the real deal? Because I
Yep.
think Michigan has been a l- scraping by a lot of their games.
Mhm.
So I I personally would take USC, even though oh yeah, USC's favored in this game too, even though Michigan is ranked. I'm like, what are we considering underdogs here? Are we just going off of rankings or like the spread and what the money line is? Because it's
Uh,
making my decision like hard because I would like, oh, if I'm doing upset picks, I would take USC over number
I
15
just
Michigan
don't.
because USC is
I don't trust the AP poll so much that I usually
yeah,
go off spreads and just feel because Michigan and USC are a lot more evenly matched than
yeah,
their rankings tell you.
yeah.
So, I mean, it's a technically it could be an upset, but it's really not that much of an upset.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
Speaking of upsets, though, my upset this week is this next game with South Carolina LSU. LSU's favored by 9.5 in this game, which is kind of ridiculous to me considering they don't have an offense.
yeah.
They're just been
Zero
getting
offense.
stoned. So, I mean, South Carolina's struggled on defense this year, but I have not seen enough out of LSU to say, wow, that team can really handle an SEC team. They struggled with Florida when Florida was really reeling without a real wide receiver for Florida.
Yeah,
I think South Carolina will give them some issues. Running quarterback Lenoris, if they come out and play good brand of football, I think they not only will cover, I think they can win this game. Get a little revenge game from last year, the missed field goal at the end of regulation. So I'm gonna take the Gamecocks to be my upset this week.
nice, nice. For
Yeah,
my
yeah.
upset pick, I'm scrolling through, and honestly, there's some hard games to decide an upset pick. Um, I think I'm gonna go Missouri over Bama.
Okay.
I just think I gotta go with that one. I'm looking at everything else, and nothing's really catching my attention. Besides, I was thinking about that South Carolina LSU one, but then again, I was like, if it was at South Carolina, I would definitely take South Carolina. But the fact that it's at LSU. It's in Death Valley and it's a night game.
It's
And
Cocktober though. It's Cocktober, so the boys are gonna be ready to play. So you can't you
I,
can't doubt that. So this that pick's for you,
I,
Kevin Brown.
Kev, I hope you watch this one.
Boys
I
are gonna
hope
get
you
it
watch
done
this
this
one.
week. They're gonna get it done this week.
Gamecocks are gonna roll. I hope they do, but they're not my upset pick. I'm gonna stay with Missouri as my upset pick this week. See if I can improve to 4-2. If not, yeah, I guess I just gotta stop picking. But nah, Missouri with the upset pick this week for me. And then yeah, I think we'll get good games. I think, you got good games
It'll be
here
a
and
good
there.
weekend.
I don't think it's a jam-packed weekend. Like week what was that? Week 4? think when it was week 4, it was pretty
But
jam-packed.
we're the cool thing now is we're into conference play, so
Yeah,
a lot of these weekends that don't seem jam-packed can be jam-packed easily
yeah, yeah.
because in the SEC you never know.
I guess like last
Um,
week, you get a bunch of random upsets and stuff. And
yeah, so
yeah,
it's a cool weekend.
SEC competition is right now pretty even just because nobody seems like they're so far ahead of the pack.
Mhm.
The closest team I would say to it is maybe Ole Miss,
Yep.
just because they're still
But we'll see.
undefeated,
We'll
but
see.
we'll
I
see
mean,
what
Texas A&M's
happens.
undefeated too.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah,
Um,
so we'll see.
we'll
All these
see.
teams play each other. That's the cool thing.
That
Through the
is the
year,
cool
they
thing.
all got to run through each other, unless you're
Yeah.
Texas and you don't play anybody.
Yeah, you pick all
You
the
only play, you lose at Florida, and you get to play Mississippi State, Kentucky, Vanderbilt, and Arkansas. You literally play the four worst teams in the SEC. I mean, Vanderbilt's good
yeah,
this year, but by the time they play Vanderbilt, Vanderbilt might be in the tank. So um,
we'll see.
they play at Georgia, so that might be their third loss if they don't lose this weekend.
Yeah.
Oklahoma, they play Oklahoma, but they get that in neutral site game. So
Yeah. I think that'd be a good game. I got Oklahoma winning that one. I'm gonna stick with Oklahoma. I just don't think Texas looks good at all.
they don't, but you never know with these neutral site games. It's hard to tell. So
True. True. And it's a rivalry, so that
yep.
usually spices things up.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, appreciate y'all for tuning in and listening. I'm looking forward to another great week of college football. And if you do happen to catch, you know, Thursday night action, and if you are currently watching some Wednesday night action, hopefully it's good ball. I did see Missouri State and Middle Tennessee State last time I checked were tied at 19-19. So we got some good ball being played on Wednesday night. But enjoy the weekend, and we'll see y'all next week.
Peace.